Dear Piggy Python tutorial. This tutorial is going to be slightly different. It's going to be working on lists, and we are going to cover a lot of topics on lists, including how to create a list, how to access items in a list, range of indexes, as well as changing item values and joining lists. So it will be put together as a slightly longer video, and each little segment you'll kind of see a little transition, so you'll see clearly when we're going to change it. So let's hop right into our creating a list. Creating lists in Python are pretty simple and pretty much like variables, and you may be asking, what is a list? And a list is kind of in a way like a variable that can contain very, very many values, if you want to think about it that way, if that helps you understand a little bit more. So if we look at our example over here, this list equals, and then we put it in brackets, and keep in mind that you have to use brackets. Brackets are almost always associated with lists, so just remember that. Lists equals brackets. And then you can put each separate item. So for example, apple is an item, banana is an item, cherry is an item. All of these you put in little quotation marks because they're strings, and then you separate them with a comma. So that way you can store multiple different items in your list. So let's get started. Go to repl.it, and we go to our in-browser IDE. And we click the blue Start Coding button in the right-hand corner or in the middle, and we select our language, Python. Create your REPL, and then we can get started. So as I've mentioned before, creating a list is very much similar to creating a variable, and we always start by defining the name. So for my list, we can say favorite sports. I'm really into sports, and now I have more than one favorite sports, right? I play lacrosse, I play soccer, I play field hockey. These are just 3 that I focus on as of now, and I don't want to create a separate variable for every single one, right? That would be kind of annoying, so we put it into our list. So we do that. We're going to put it in brackets, and keep in mind these brackets are not curly and they're not parentheses, they're the brackets. And so we can put our first value. My first favorite sport is lacrosse. And keep in mind how I put that in quotation marks. Now we separate each item in the list by using a comma. So don't forget the comma, don't use any other sign, it's just a comma. Second favorite sport, I don't know if it's second favorite, but second sport that I play is soccer. I played that one for a long time. Separate it with a comma, and the last one is field hockey. So this is my list, and it has 3 items right now: lacrosse, soccer, and field hockey, right? So now we have created our list. So if I wanted to just see it, I could print it using the print function to our console, fave, sports, and run. And we see my list is lacrosse, soccer, and field hockey, and it shows up as my list. If I wanted to create another one just for the sake of giving you guys another example, let's see, what's another hobby that I have? I like food. Let's say desserts. Dessert list. And I always have trouble spelling dessert because it's always like dessert or desert. It's like a fine line between the two, right guys? So we're going to put that in brackets. I like ice cream. I haven't had that in such a long time though, so we put that in quotation marks, separate it with the comma. What's another dessert that I've had? Give it a second here. I like popsicles. I don't know if those are counted as a dessert, but separate it with a comma. Let's do another one. What is something common? Ooh, I love cookies. Those are delicious. We have those during lunch at school. And I love brownie s'mores. I just found those out today. They're actually pretty good. And let's give one more value. So what's one more thing that you guys like to eat for dessert? Let's see here. Oh, someone said fruit. Well, that's really healthy. I would not like having fruit for dessert, but I guess you could consider that a dessert. So now, after printing our favorite sports list, we can also print our dessert list. And if we want to print that, we get ice cream, popsicles, cookies, brownie s'mores, And what is that last one? Fruit. It says fruit. Let me drag this out. Drag the console a little bit bigger. So now we have created our list in Python. So pretty simple, right, guys? You just have to remember to use the brackets and use the comma to separate them. Otherwise, pretty easy to do. Now we're going to learn how to access items. Because this may look really simple, but there is a huge trick in the way Python or in many coding languages in general number the items in their list. So we're going to talk about negative indexing as well as, well, I guess there's nothing called positive indexing, but if that gives you a better idea that we use positive numbers, then so be it. So say I want to print a specific sport in my list and say I really like lacrosse, my favorite sport, best sport out there, give it a try. But how would I print that specific one? Now, most of you guys say just tell it to print the first sport, right? And easy peasy, that's what you guys think. And so how you guys would think to do it is we would put it in brackets and then we have to give it a specific index number, or we can call it access item. So we give it an index, and when you say index, you would think that you count these as 1, 2, and 3, right? But that's not how computer science works. The first one is called 0, the second one is called 1, and the third one is called 2. So remember, everything in Python for number-wise starts with 0. So for example, ice cream would be 0, popsicles would be 1, cookies 2, brownie s'mores 3, and fruit 4. So just remember that in Python, you always start with 0, right? So if I wanted to print lacrosse, I would have to print the 0th index, or 0th value, or 0th item. And in that case, it would give me lacrosse, right? And if I wanted to print field hockey, I wouldn't print 3, because that's not how Python works, right, guys? We would print 2, because it goes 0, 1, and 2. And then we get field hockey instead. Now, if we wanted to access the item, let's see, if we wanted to access the item cookies, 0. Let's see, use my mouse here. 0, 1, 2. So that would also be 2. And we would run and we would get field hockey and cookies. So I think the only catch here is to remember that everything in the list, its value, the first index is 0. So remember that. And then you've got it down pat. Now what we're going to work on next is we're going to work on negative indexing. So if I had a really, really long list, say of 500 different values, and you could say, okay, well, I want to print the last value in that. Would you go ahead and say 500? I mean, saying 500 isn't hard, don't get me wrong. But if you have an unknown number of items in your list, you can't just say, give me the last one, right? The computer's not going to understand it, and you have no idea what that specific number is. So in order to do that, we do negative indexing. So if we wanted to print the last one in the list, we wouldn't do negative 0 because that just doesn't exist. But we would say negative 1. So if I put this here, what do you guys think that this line 4, what is it going to give me? And it's going to give me field hockey. Because negative indexing, negative 1 returns the last value. Negative 2 would return soccer, and I'm assuming negative 3 would return lacrosse. So if we wanted to run that, we still get field hockey. Now, if we wanted to do negative 2, second to last, we would get soccer. Now, if we wanted to do third to last, we would get lacrosse. And obviously, since my lists are short, there's no need to use negative indexing. But negative indexing can come very, very much in handy when you have lots and lots and lots of items in your list. So let's do it. Negative 1 here, it would return me what, guys? A fruit. There we go. Negative 4. Let's just say I wanted to do negative 4. What would it give me? It would give me popsicles. So now we kind of get a feel as to how to create a list, how to access items, and how to do negative indexing. Next, let's do range of indexes. Say I wanted to print not only ice cream, or not only popsicles, I wanted to print everything from cookies to fruit, right? Every single one from cookies to fruit. I'm going to give it a range to print. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do essentially the same thing. Oops, we're definitely not doing that. I have no idea what just happened. There we go. I fixed it. So we're going to do a range of indexes or range of items. And how we do that is we still put print name of the list and then put it in these brackets. But then we add another part to it. So say in the desserts list, I'm going to get rid of this for now. And let me scroll up for you guys. Say I wanted to print everything from popsicles to brownie s'mores. Now, how I do that is I give it the first index for popsicles. Now, what is it, guys? It's not 2, it's 1. Remember, because we start from 0, so we go 1. And then if I wanted to print to brownie s'mores, I need to put a colon. And this colon is essentially saying, give me everything from X to Y. So the index or the index of brownie s'mores is 0, 1, 2, 3. So I want to print all the items from index 1 to index 3, item 1 to item 3. We run, and it prints popsicles, cookies, because it gives us popsicles and it gives us cookies. Now, if we wanted to print brownie s'mores, then we'd have to go to one extra one, and we run it. Popsicles, cookies, brownie s'mores. So now it gives us a range. We can tell our browser or our program to print a different range of the items in our list. And we simply do that by using the colon. So very much similar to what we did before, right? Now, what if I wanted to say print everything from the very beginning to, and in this case, if I zoom in here, to orange? Then we just wouldn't put a number in front because, like the example that I used previously, what if we had no idea whatsoever how many numbers that list had? So since our dessert list is rather long, we want to say print everything before the 4th item. So that would give us, oops, we forgot to put the colon. I got rid of the colon. That's why. I was like, that doesn't look right. So remember to put in your colon, guys. Otherwise, it's only going to print your 4th item. It's going to give us ice cream, popsicles, cookies, and brownie s'mores because we told it to. We said, well, if you don't put a value there, print everything before it, before the 4th value index. And since this blank spot or this no number is in the front, it's going to print everything in front of it. Now, if we wanted to do behind, we would say print everything in this example down here. This example returns the items from cherry to the end. So we would do 2 colon and then we leave the end blank because we want it to print everything from a certain value to the end. So we can do that here. I want you to print everything in dessert list from cookies onward. So cookies is value 2 and then we just leave it there because we wanted to print everything else in the list. So we run our program and we say cookies, brownies, fruit, brownies, s'mores, fruit. So that's how we kind of do a range of indexes in Python. Again, we use the colon if we want to. We have to use the colon for the range, and we can leave one value blank or just not there if we would like to. So we are moving through this pretty fast, guys. Let's change a value in Python. So say I realize that I am feeling rather unhealthy today, which actually happens most of the time. And I think that it would be great if I could just eat some junk food and binge watch Netflix. Like, doesn't that sound like a good way to spend your time, right, guys? And I don't feel like eating fruit whatsoever, right? So I want to change this value, but instead of manually going in here and changing it, we are going to change it using separate code. So if we take a look at this example, we're going to say this list, so we just created our own list, and then we said this list 1 is equal to black currant. And in this case, we changed it from banana to black currant because the first index is banana. So we can do that right here. I don't want fruits for dessert. So I say dessert list, and then I tell it which item to change, and I want to change the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4th value. I change the 4th value, and I'm changing it to ice cream mochi. That is good. And one thing that I forgot to do was put it in quotation marks. That is so important, guys. Do not forget the quotation marks, because like we learned from data types a couple videos ago, quotation marks are what tells the program that you are using, that you are creating a string. So ice cream mochi. So now if I wanted to see my new dessert list, I just print dessert list. And if I want to run it, I see ice cream, popsicles, cookies, brownie s'mores, ice cream, mochi. So now we've changed a value in the list. And say I want to change another value. Dessert list, and I want to change ice cream because we already have ice cream mochi. And so I'm changing the first value, which in this case is going to be 0, guys. Don't forget that. And I'm going to change it to, let's see, I love apple pie. I just like pie in general. So now if we run our new code and we're still printing the dessert list, it's going to give us apple pie, popsicles, cookies, brownie s'mores, and ice cream mochi. So now we've learned how to change values in our list, right? And I think, guys, that this was pretty simple. This is all understandable as long as I walk you through it, right? So I hope we have no questions as of now. But if you do, let me know. We are now going to do our last topic in lists, which is we are going to join a list. And what this means is that we are going to create a new list that is the combination of 2 other lists. So we have two lists right here. I forgot the word for a second. I was like 2 combinations. Wait, that doesn't sound right. So I have favorite sports and dessert list. And what I need to do now, I'm going to get rid of this, is I want to create a new list. I'm going to call it big list. Very creative of me, I know. And then I'm just going to say that it's the sum of favorite sports and dessert list. And how I do that is fav sports plus dessert list. And so then we have our third list. And we didn't have to manually create anything. We just combined these 2. We're going to print big list. And so we run our run our program. And we get lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, ice cream, popsicles. I can't see that one. Cookies, brownie s'mores, and fruit. So we've combined our list. Now, just to see a quick little experiment, let's see if I have a third one. Drinks list. Some drinks that I like. I love Sprite. My mom is a Sprite addict. It's kind of funny. She always asks my dad to get her Sprite, and my dad's like, that's not healthy. And she's like, too bad. Coke, and then lemonade, and then what's one more? Slushies. Oh, I like those. Haven't gotten those in a long time, though. And then we add the last one. We add drinks list. So I want the big list to be the sum of favorite sports list, dessert list, and drinks list. So now I print big list again, and I get lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, ice cream, popsicles, cookies, brownie s'mores, fruit, Sprite, Coke, lemonade, and slushies. So we've kind of just joined lists, and it's very, very easy. We just use a plus sign, and we kind of create another list. So that was lists, pretty much. And I hope that explanation was concise and to the point, and hopefully I got you engaged for a while. And let me know if you have any questions about lists. See you in the next tutorials. Bye, guys.